Hello and welcome guys, and in this tutorial video we're going to be looking at the HackTheBox machine called Zipper. So I've done a lot of prep work for this video just to make it a bit quicker. So the initial scan using Nmap revealed we've got HTTP Apache service running on port 80 and then we've got SSH on port 22. And the IP address for Zipper is 10.10.10.108. So we have a look at the web application to see what's going on. And all we got is a default Apache web server page. So what I did initially was to do a scan using GoBuster. You provide the IP address and a word list. So user share and select the medium word list. I left that to run. After a while, we should find a web page or web directory called Zabbix. Okay, so we're presented with a web page called Zabbix. Attempted using admin to log in. No luck. And as you can see, the page redirects us to index.php. So, however, Zabbix allows us to log in with a guest account. Also, it's got a support page we can click on. So, click on the support page. It takes us to the Zabbix website. We'll have a look at documentation. And one thing I did as well was to look at the source page and try to figure out what version of Zabbix we're running. So having a look at this didn't reveal anything. I think at some point I managed to figure out it was probably running 3.0 version of it. So let's sign into guest. Yeah, and there we go. You can see the version is 3.0.21. So in the documentation, I went for 3.0 manual and try to read and try to understand what this application is all about. So it's a software that is actually used to manage and monitor servers and networks. So browsing on the guest admin, there wasn't nothing really happening much, but we could see stuff like system error, contact the Zabbix administrator, go on to triggers, graphs. I can see Zapper's backup script. So we could see some names that are quite interesting. So we could see root run as a service as well. So what I did in this instance was to create a password list. So I put in zipper, which is the name of the box, zapper, root, admin, and then try to use Hydra. So cat commands, try to use Hydra to brute force the web page. So I'm just going to paste it here so you have an idea of this is. So Hydra, using the L syntax, we're able to give it so that's the username, point it as well to the same word list we're using for the password, the IP address, the port number is 80, this is an HTTP post request, the extension for Zabbix index.php, and these are the parameters we're brute forcing, so user, password, and enter or sign in login name incorrect. So this is the response we get if the username and password is incorrect. So I copy this straight away in here. And have Hydra try to brute force the username and password for here. So we leave that to keep running, and you can see we got a response that login Zapper and using password Zapper is actually successful. So we can log out here, have a look at Zapper, try to log in, and then we get this GUI access disabled. So after a lot of probing around, I managed to find out that Zabbix has a CLI tool, and I think I got a bookmark for that here somewhere. So we've got it on GitHub. You can actually download the Zabbix CLI, and there is a documentation for how to install Zabbix. So do a git clone setup.py, run that, and then you should be able to access Zabbix command line. Also, what we need to do is also to establish, to set up the configuration file. So this configuration file, depending on how you install this, would be saved in one of these directories. So I think mine was saved in user share here, and you have to point in the configuration file, point the CLI or the command line to the Zabbix web directory. So let's have a look at that one. So you can see here we found the Zabbix directory, so we can end that. So if we do a nano into that directory after installing Zabbix, just going to make this bigger, you see straight away here is where you have to enter in the URL. Okay, so the Zabbix API URL without this extension. So that straight away. So once you've done that, you should be able to then start so let's go back to the documentation. And in order to start Zabbix, just have to run this from the command line. So here, go paste that in. Ask for the username, Zapper, password, Zapper, and we're logged in. So help, we use show users. Okay, so I think some people have actually, the other users on this box, but normally what you should see is admin and the user Zapper. And you can see the user Zapper here is a super admin. However, the auto login is disabled, and that is why we couldn't log in through the graphical user interface to the GUI. So what we need to do here is to add the user Zapper to the admin group. So add user group, Zapper, and add the user to the Zabbix administrator group. So did that. Okay, so the user, and then we have to remove the user as well from the other group. So Zapper is the user, and remove the user from this. So if we go back and run this command now, show users, we could see the user Zapper now is in the Zabbix administrator group. So we should be able to log in through the GUI. And we're logged in. So reading through this manual, we're able to see that we could execute scripts on this on this web application. So just do a search for scripts, and here it tells us that we could actually run scripts. So you can execute scripts. So depending on the set user permissions, then become available for execution of clicking on the host with the various front-end locations, and also run as an action operation. So we can actually configure run scripts. So what I did here straight away was to go to Pentest Monkey, reverse shell, and grab the Perl one. Okay, so I'm just going to put that here. So if config from 0, that's my IP address. Place that one with this one here. Paste. Change my port, listed port to 9001. Go into the web application, administration, scripts, and create scripts. Paste that here. I'll give this reverse 1, 2, 3, and the agent, and click on add. So that's fine. Go onto the desktop. So, by reading the documentation, you should be able to figure out how to do this. So we go on here to latest data. Click on select. On Linux servers, I think. Select that. Go on here. Select the whole host. Select. Filter that. And then set up our listener. Go to zipper. I think we click on this. Click on reverse. And we have a shell. So ID, I'm using Zabbix, uname -a. Okay, I'm actually on this. So which Python 3, yeah, go Python 3. So we can do Python 3 import pty dot spawn. Yeah, so pwd cd home list cd zapper. So you can see I'm the user Zabbix, but we've got a zapper here. So let's do a long list. We got any hidden directories? No. So we do cd zapper list. That's the user flag. Try to cut the user flag. Let's see if we got permissions. So long list, and we got an SSH directory here, and only the user zapper can actually read this file. However, I've got a directory here called utils, which everyone has read access. So let's have a look at that. Utils list, and we have two files there. So we've got a file here called Zabbix, which has got SUID belonging to root. I've got another one here called backup.sh, which everyone can read but belongs to Zapper. So we actually have permission to read that backup.sh. You can see here, this is a quick script. This is a script to back up all the utilities in this folder. So probably, and this appears to be a sort of a password. So what I did here was to copy this su zapper and paste that in. And then we're logged in as the user zapper. Brilliant. So cd --ls, and we could do wcc user.txt. And you can see we have the user flag. However, if you remember, we found an SSH directory. So SSH there, list. I've got an SSH key there. So ID _RSA. Right, so we could copy this key. Put a new window, cdatb, cd zipper, and I'll call this nano zip key. Paste that in here. Make sure everything is well copied. And chmod 600 zip.key. Then we should be able to SSH using this key now. User zapper at 10.10.10.108. So we can exit this shell now. So exit this, exit that, exit this as well. And we should be able to log in now to the user zapper. And we're logged in. So we have a proper shell. Okay, so we have a proper shell now as this. So we do a list, we can see the directory utils list, and this shows that we've got the Zabbix service SUID bit. So let's see what this file actually does. Zabbix.service. So start and stop, click start, and it does nothing. So the first thing I did was to do an LDD on the service. So we see it's calling just standard Linux libraries, DNL trace, and we try to see it's okay. Obviously, SUID and SetUID on this is is enabled, is configured with this. That's why it's got this as SUID bit set, and we can see it prints this message start or stop. It gets the message, do a string compare. If starts or stop, so it does a string compare if it start or stop, and then puts an error message if any if it's not start or stop, and then it errors out. So basically what that means is if we do zabbix.service and I type in anything here just to see if probably it's vulnerable to a buffer overflow, it says recognize. So this binary is not actually vulnerable to a sort of a buffer overflow, because probably it's taken in 10 characters here, but we could see it actually exits properly. So what I did here was to run strings on the application, and having a look at this, we see the libraries it calls, but I think the interesting part of this was after if we run, this is the message start or stop. If you click on start, it starts the Zabbix agent. Okay, so it runs this system control start the agent, and if it stop, it stops these agents. So because the system control here is not actually running an absolute part, it is possible for us to actually put a binary, name it system control, and then place it in our part. And hopefully when we execute this SUID bit, we should have root access or root shell. So what I did was so I'm going to show you what I did. So I wrote an exploit binary. So include standard library, standard IO, input output, include main, and then set UID, set GID to 0, and then run a system bin bash. So I compiled this with GCC. So just compiling this with GCC. So I could just compile this GCC output. We could call this, so let's go back in here. Name this system control. So output system control, and then exploit C. Okay, if we are a list, we have system control here, which is an executable. If we try to execute this, you can see we just run shell. Okay, there we go. So, it just runs the standard shell. So, went back to the box list, did a which wget installed. So all I did was to do wget http 10.10.10.15, which is my server / system control. Went over to my box, started Python server, python-m, simple http server, port 80, get the file, list, files there, make the file executable, system control, do a list, long list. We see the file belongs to Zapper, executable by anyone. So the next thing I did was to then, list, just use my commands, is to then point. So we export part to our current part, which is PWD. So if we do PWD, this is our current part. So all we have to do is just export part here. And if we then do echo $part, we can see our part now is PWD, which is this current directory. So now if we execute the binary, service, type in start, and there we go, got a root shell. So we can cd now to root, a list, and that's the root flag, wc-c root.txt. And that's the box. So basically just a basic binary. We exploiting, because it's running this system control to start this the service which we looked at on earlier here. So it's just a matter of creating a malicious binary with that name, pointing it to our own part, as like we did here, and then executing it in order to become root. So very interesting box, quite easy as well. I think the most challenging part was to figure out that Zabbix actually had a command line and trying to understand it through the documentation, how to run scripts or code on the web application. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like me to do more videos, please subscribe to my channel, and I shall see you next time. Thank you.